Hello and welcome to Playthrough Board Games. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about MaceCon. This week, myself and a number of friends drove to Charlotte, North Carolina, where they had the annual MaceCon convention, annual Charlotte MaceCon convention. At the convention, they had a number of independent board game and card game developers. The games that I was the most interested in were two that were released earlier. One of them through Kickstarter. That's this game, Draco Magi, which I'm going to take you through today in a video. And I'll tell you, I've already filmed the video and made a mistake or two, but I'll try to notate that in the video itself, particularly when it comes to magic-style attacks. And then also this game, In the City Origins. This one was developed by Duncan Davis, who I got to meet at MaceCon. Really nice guy. The game plays really quick and is really fun. I also wanted to point out a few other games that I've sponsored or purchased either through Kickstarter or that were originally on Kickstarter. These games I will provide a playthrough video through at some point. Not going to get to them today, but I wanted to introduce you to the two games from MaceCon and talk to you about one other game that I also enjoyed that I did not purchase. But we'll get to that in the next few videos. So let me take you through Draco Magi and show you some of the rules and how the game plays, and you can make a decision on whether it would be something you would like. I'll say it's a competitive game similar to Magic the Gathering, but it seems to be a little bit lighter to me. There aren't as many strategic decisions, but there's enough here to keep someone busy for a number of playthroughs, and the decks are equal, so it means that it's the way you play instead of the cards you put in. There are some variants that allow you to put in specific types of cards, which allow for some extra replay value, and I'll talk about those at the end of the video. So my family and I attended MaceCon this week. That's a board game convention in North Carolina. There are usually multiple in different regions of North Carolina. This particular one was in Charlotte. One of the neat things about the convention is that a lot of local developers attend the conference. And one in particular was this guy named Robert Burke. One of the games he developed was called Draco Magi. And this was funded through Kickstarter. I didn't see it when it was on Kickstarter, but I did see it at the convention. I actually bid on this game in a silent auction and managed to win it. And what I won with the game was the game itself and this nice play mat that comes with it. You can see this is a fairly high quality mat. Mouse pad level of quality, I'd say. And so after winning the game, I went to the table where this developer was sitting and got to see the game and got to play around to the game with one of my friends at the convention. And I wanted to share with you some of the basics of the game so you can see how it plays. This is a little bit like Magic the Gathering, but not really. It's more of like a lane combat game. The game that comes to mind when I think about lane combat is a game called Soul Forge, which I played for a few months last year, and I enjoyed, but I didn't like the collectible nature of it. This game is not collectible. It will have expansions according to the developer. But that's okay. I like adding variety, I just don't like adding it randomly. The basis of this game is that two mages are fighting against each other, and they're using a dragon army. They each have their own dragon army, and they're sending these dragons out against each other and trying to take over land. The land that is found in this region contains certain types of gems. The goal of the game is for the Magi to collect 3 gems of any different color, 3 gems of the same color, or 4 gems of any color. Doesn't matter what. Gems can be collected from the battlefield, and the maximum number that a player can collect in a single round is 3, if they win all the battlefields, which is unlikely given the fact that it's somewhat asymmetric. Each player is allowed to play 8 dragons, and I wanted to run us through a few rounds, maybe through a whole game. We'll see how things go, so you can see how playthrough works. To begin with, players prepare their decks and shuffle it. The areas that the players are going to contest are contained in this pile, And the lands that are drawn from the bottom. These lands are double-sided. It's hard to tell which land you're going to... It's easy to tell what land you're going to get if you draw from the top, and I think that's the reason the mechanic to draw from the bottom was selected. These are the 3 lands we drew for this game. This land prevents dragons from escaping from certain types of attack. This land gives certain dragons additional defense, and this land removes a certain type of defense from certain types of dragons. And this will affect the gameplay as we move through. This is a 2-player game. The players begin by drawing 8 dragons. And this will be the green player's hand. And they use this hand through their entire round. There's an additional deck that the green player will use, and I'm going to flip it over just to show you an example of a card. You can tell that this is the green player's deck due to the green symbol at the top of the card. There is a single other type of card in this deck. This is a silver symbol shown here, and this comes from the advanced tactic decks shown over here. At the beginning of the game, you normally draft 2 cards. Since I haven't played through this game a large number of times, though, I just selected 2 cards at random and shuffled them into both these 2 decks. Normally, a player would draw 3 cards from the advanced deck, pick one they wanted to keep, discard the other, and give the third to their opponent. And then the players would take those 2 cards and shuffle them into their attack decks. These will be important when we're fighting, and I'll explain a little more about them as the game progresses. I'm going to go ahead and draw 8 cards from the gold player's deck. At the start of play, a player is chosen to be the first player. The rules state that the oldest player can play, or it can be chosen randomly. Since we only have 1 player, and that's me, I will stick this token here. And we'll begin with the green player's turn. First thing the player does is they look at their hand to see what sort of cards they have available to them. To begin, I've divided my dragons into different colors. The metallic dragons are usually grouped together. In this case, I have a silver dragon and a bronze dragon. And those 2 are grouped together mainly because the metallic dragons in this particular round get a -1 to their shield when they enter this particular land here, the Mountains of Mist. The other dragons, I have 1 of each of them except for the purple dragon. The purple dragon's really nice because he can avoid ranged attack from certain dragons. And let me go ahead and explain ranged attacks while we're looking at these cards. The dragons on these cards have a number of values listed on them. On the red dragon, for instance, you can see a 1 with a fireball symbol over it, and a 2 with a shield symbol over it. These values are the values used during combat. The 1 value is the number of cards the dragon will be able to play during range combat to attack another dragon. The 2 shields listed here are the number of cards a dragon would be able to draw to try to avoid damage during range combat. And that's all these values apply to. There is some text at the bottom of this card, and I'll show you the red dragon text. If a red dragon defeats a dragon with a ranged attack, you may attack a second dragon on the battlefield. So, theoretically, he could get in 2 attacks in 1 turn. There's a final value on this card, and that's up here at the top. It's a 3. That value will come into play when the dragons begin melee combat, which happens after range combat is complete, and all the dragons are laid onto the board. So let's begin now by laying a dragon. We'll begin the game by playing our black dragon. The first player is at a disadvantage in that he is not allowed to attack with a ranged attack at the beginning of his turn. This particular dragon is useful for that. First of all, he has no ranged ability, and he gives you a bonus. The opponent loses 1 battle card of their choice for each black dragon you have on the battlefield. So we'd like to keep this dragon on the battlefield up until the melee turn. Here we have the location that I'm going to stick the dragon. The reason I'm going to stick this dragon here is that each black and purple dragon gets +1 in this location. The location is called the darkness. So let's begin and play our dragon. Play will then progress to the next player's turn. The gold player has chosen to play a green dragon. The green dragon has the skill Poison Breath. This reduces the shield value of a target dragon by 1 when the green dragon performs a ranged attack. So the advantage that the black dragon is getting in the darkness area is going to be removed by this Poison Breath attack. Now let's resolve combat. The green dragon will begin by drawing the number of attack cards he has listed on his card. And if you look here at the range combat, you see he has a value of 1 for his range combat. Let's begin by drawing 1 card from the attack deck. And this is what we drew. The words at the bottom of this card don't matter for ranged attack. The only thing that matters are the values shown in these 2 spaces. Here is the fireball symbol for a ranged attack, and you can see there's one white asterisk-like image shown in this card. This card basically states that the black dragon has the potential to have taken 1 damage. Let's see if the black dragon can avoid this 1 damage. He's allowed to draw 2 cards because of his defense of 2. Now he doesn't have to draw 2 cards, and in fact he is only going to draw 1, because on his first draw he drew a shield with a 1 value. That cancels out the ranged attack of the green dragon. Both of these cards are discarded, and play continues. It's now the green Magi's turn. He still has several dragons available to him, and he has a green dragon that he wants to destroy. So, we'll see if there's a way to do this. In fact, there is. He's interested in playing, potentially, the green dragon against the green dragon. Now, a dragon can only defend when it's being attacked. The gold Magi's green dragon is not going to be able to make another attack. But the green player's green dragon is going to be able to use his 1 distance attack to try to destroy the green dragon. And he draws a card, and his attack value is a 1. We'll put this here for now, and we'll draw a defense card for our green dragon, who only gets 1 defense card because the dragon's defense is reduced by 1. And unfortunately for the green player, the green dragon has drawn a defense. So both of these cards are discarded, and play continues. For this turn, the gold player is going to play a red dragon. The reason he's going to play a red dragon is because he wants to take out both of the opponent's dragons. Note the wording on the bottom of this card. If a red dragon defeats a dragon with a ranged attack, you may attack a second dragon on the battlefield. So let's see if he's able to overcome the green and black dragon, or at least one of them. And we draw a card, and the card he gets has 1 attack symbol. We draw a defense card for the green dragon, and he gets 2 defense. So, the red dragon is unsuccessful in his attack. Now, one of the things I want you to note as we're playing is that the values at the top of these cards are going to matter later on. Remember I mentioned that the top numbers are the melee values? Right now, the green player has a melee value of 5, and the gold player has a melee value of 5. So they are fairly equivalent in their attack abilities. That melee value is going to have a consequence, and it's going to be the number of cards they can draw during the melee phase. Let's continue on and see what happens next. We know that the green player is up, and the green player is also going to try something similar. He's going to play a red dragon in this location, and he's going to try to attack the 2 dragons across the way. He draws his attack card first, and he gets 1 hit. The red dragon is able to draw 2 defense cards, and he does not need to. with 1 defense cards, he gets 1 defense. That means the attack phase is over. The Green Magi has now played all of the cards he can play for this particular land, and he's going to have to place dragons in a different location. The Gold Magi, on the other hand, can place dragons wherever he would like, because he still has 1 open space. He also still has 1 red dragon, and he knows that any dragon he places in this location is going to be safe for this turn. So he's going to try to pick something that will give him an advantage. The card he's going to pick is the Clockwork Dragon. This is an interesting dragon. Basically, if it defeats a dragon with a ranged attack, he immediately returns to your hand, and that allows you to have another attack on the next round. So he'll begin by playing this on the same location and drawing some cards. The first card he draws has 1 attack possible. So the red dragon gets 2 possible defense cards, and he draws and immediately gets 2 defense. That ranged attack was also not successful. So we're not seeing a lot of dragon dying action here. We'll continue on and see if we can destroy some dragons in a few minutes. The next place that the Green Magi is interested in is this place called the Mountains of Mist. This particular location has a negative connotation for metallic dragons, -1 shield. But the neat thing about silver dragons, which is what he's going to play, is that they have reflective scales. And with this dragon, there could be no ranged attack against the silver dragon. So that's what he's going to play here. In response to that play, the gold player is going to play a black dragon on his side of the field. This dragon does not have any ranged attack. He has some defense, but he's going to allow the gold player to potentially cause the green player to not draw as many cards during combat, melee combat. Unbeknownst to the gold player, the green player has no more attack cards, ranged attack cards in his hand. He's going to do an interesting play that I think will work well for him. He's going to take his purple dragon, and the purple dragon has this skill called Stealth. You may place a purple dragon under any dragon you've already placed. If you win this gem, draw an additional battle card and put it on top of your battle deck. So he's going to play his purple dragon underneath the silver dragon. Normally this would not be possible. Normally the dragons have to go on top of one another. But this allows him to continue on and continue to prevent an attack from the gold player. The gold player, seeing that he is not going to be able to use a ranged attack on this particular location of the battlefield, decides to play another black dragon in the same location. And play continues. The green player, meanwhile, is going to play a purple dragon in this location, again, underneath the silver dragon, preventing any ranged attacks. And the gold player, realizing that he is not going to be able to attack anything in this location, is going to play the brass dragon as his third and final dragon. Finally, we move to the last location on the field, and here the location says no flight cards may be played here. That means there are special cards in the deck that prevent the dragons from taking any damage at all. That means that card is not going to be very valuable at that location. Let's see who we're going to play first. We have a bronze dragon and a battle dragon. And I think we'll play the battle dragon first. This dragon requires 2 hits to defeat. So we will put him in this location, and the gold player will continue through. He still has his red dragon and the mystic and the celestial dragon. The celestial dragon is fairly neat. It allows a player to discard up to 3 battle cards and draw an equal number of new battle cards. So we'll put him out to begin with. And he has 1 ranged attack, so let's see if he can defeat, or at least hurt, the battle dragon. His 1 attack is unsuccessful. There are no ranged attack symbols on this card. So this card is discarded, and we continue on. Note that the other player, the green player in this case, could draw cards if he wanted to, but he is not interested in that, because he still knows he has some of the best cards in the battle deck. Finally, the green player is going to play the bronze dragon here, and he can choose to flip over the battlefield. But I think in this case he's not. One of the things about the battlefield is each of the locations has a different colored gem. So remember that if one player gains one of each color gem, he wins the game. And the green player feels confident that he could win. The gold player, meanwhile, has one card left, and that's the red dragon. The red dragon gets to attack twice if he can defeat one of the dragons, one of the green player's dragons. We play the red dragon there. He draws a card, and this is our first card where we see 2 hits occurring. So the bronze dragon is going to have to draw 2 shields in order to survive this attack. 1 shield, 0 shields. So unfortunately, the bronze dragon is defeated and is put into the green player's discard pile. Now the battle dragon also gets attacked because of the red player's specific wording, because of the red dragon's specific wording. So let's draw an attack card for the battle dragon. And the battle dragon takes 1 possible hit. Battle dragon has 3 defense. It's likely that he will survive. No defense on that card, and 1 defense on that. So the battle dragon survives and doesn't take any damage. But the red dragon has caused 1 dragon to be defeated. Melee phase is a little different from ranged attack phase. We'll begin by the first player, who again is the green dragon in this case, will select 1 battlefield in which combat will occur. And in this case, this is a hard one. I think he's going to attack here first. And the reason he's going to do that is he needs an advantage in this location, because the black dragons remove some of the cards that he would normally be able to draw. We count the number of the value of the numbers at the top of each card. We have a 3, a 3, and a 3. So normally the green player would be able to draw 9 cards, but we have to remember the wording of the gold player's cards, and that's this acid pool. Opponent loses 1 battle card of their choice for each black dragon you have on the field, which they have 2. So the player's going to draw 9 cards, but he's only going to be allowed to keep 7. Where the gold dragon, on the other hand, is going to be able to draw 8 cards, because none of the dragons listed here affect the number of cards that can be drawn. And they'll use these cards to both attack and defend against each other. So let's begin by drawing their cards. At this point in the game, the important portion of the card is the bottom portion. And you'll notice that the cards have particular wording. The type of attack for this card is a bite. This card's a claw. This particular card has a magic attack. Here's a claw or reinforce, which is kind of nice. It allows you to move some dragons around if you don't think that you're going to be able to use them at a particular location, such as maybe this battle dragon. We'll see. Another bite, a bite or claw, a bite or retreat, which allows you to move a dragon to another battlefield. Bind can be played with any attack. Defender may not play a flight card, which means that the defender won't be able to skip the attacks. And finally, bite twice. May attack with or defend against 2 bites. That's a really good card. So the most type of attack that this player has is 5 potential bites, which is nice. But we have to remember that 1 single flight can allow the gold player's dragons to escape. Also, we need to remember that the player has to discard 2 cards. He's going to discard 1 claw and 1 single bite. The gold player is able to draw 8 cards, and he's able to keep all of them. His 8 cards are a little bit different. He did draw a flight card, which is nice for him. A bite, 2 claws, bite twice, a magic attack, a claw wing strike. Notice that the symbol on this card is not gold. That's because this is one of the advanced tactics. This prevents the defender from playing a flight card, which is fairly nice. He does not know that the green dragon does not have a flight card, so he'll hold on to that. A claw card and a bite card. So we begin by the green player picking what he's going to do. The green player, being a little conservative, is going to play a magic attack first. So he puts it out. If 1 damage of any type gets through, a dragon on the other side dies. Note that these values up here don't matter. This is a single magic attack. The gold player is going to have to defend with a card, and the card he would have to defend with is a magic card, which he has. So he plays, and no dragon is injured in that portion of the combat. The gold dragon then decides what sort of cards he would like to play. An important part to keep in mind here: players can play a combination of cards if they have particular symbols that match. And I'm going to show you what symbols look like. And I'm going to do that by talking about the bite cards. The bite cards have these little symbols at the very top. Stars, suns, which these are suns, and moons, shown here. A player can play any number of cards as long as the symbols on top of these cards match. So this player, the gold player, would like to play bite cards. He has symbols that allow him to play 2 cards in combination, and he's going to begin by playing a claw and a bite for this round. And since those symbols match, he's allowed to do it. Now, the green dragon has to try to defend against this. He will play 1 bite card, and then he has to play a claw card in order to prevent the claw from coming through. Now he has this bite or claw card here, which is what he'll play. And that prevents any damage from getting through, and both dragons continue on. It's now the green player's turn, and he realizes that he could be in a bit of trouble because the gold dragon still has more cards than him still. He is going to play a bind card to prevent the other player from playing a flight card. And then, in combination with the bind card, he is going to play a bite and a claw card together. So the defender cannot play a flight card and has to defend against a claw and a bite. Fortunately for our hero, he can defend. The gold dragon has both a bite and a 2 claw card. He therefore prevents any damage from getting through. Both players discard their cards. Now, the green dragon is in a little bit of trouble because the gold dragon has multiple cards remaining. But all he really has is a bite twice card and a claw wing strike, and he can't play these together at the same time. He'll begin by playing the bite twice card to try to get the extra card out of the green player's hand. The green player happens to have a bite twice card, and so both cards are discarded. It's the end of the round, just about. The green player doesn't have any cards left, so he cannot play anything, but the gold player does. He has to discard flight because he can't use it, but he can use his claw wing strike, which he attacks with 1 claw. And that 1 claw removes the silver dragon from the field, and the silver dragon is put into the discard pile. At this point in the game, we count up the number of dragons each side has available to them, and the player with the most number of dragons wins that round of combat and wins the battlefield. The green player has 2 purple dragons remaining. These are discarded. The gold player has 3 dragon cards remaining. He therefore has won the battle. The cards are discarded, and the battlefield goes into his victory pile. So he now has 1 blue gem. It's now the gold player's turn. The gold player is going to choose the battlefield he wants to resolve, and he wants to resolve this battlefield. He'll begin by looking at his cards. He's able to draw 3, 4, 5, 6 attack, and the other player is able to draw 8. The problem is the green player has a black dragon, so it's unlikely that things are going to go well here. Dragons have to stay in the same order, by the way, that you played them. So, let's begin by drawing everyone's cards. The green player only has 4 cards, so he takes his discard pile and draws 4 more after shuffling. Places all of his cards here. The gold player does a similar thing. Note that he only has 5, 6 cards total, and he will have to discard 1 card. He draws 5 cards, and then he can reshuffle and draw 1 more, and then pick 1 card to discard. Okay, the players have drawn their respective cards. The gold player is first in this combat. He has multiple sun attacks, 1 moon, 1 star, and 1 flight card. He has to decide whether he thinks that the green player has a flight card. One of the first things he would do is look through his cards to see what's the best, and this moon card looks really nice. It's called Deadly Strike. Defends against 1 claw. When played as an attack, both players must discard 1 dragon on this battlefield. The defender must also discard 2 battle cards of their choosing. Now let me remind myself that he actually has to discard 1 of these cards anyway, and he will discard this claw attack here. So he plays Deadly Strike. Both players have to discard 1 dragon. They'll both just discard their top dragon, though I don't know if it matters in this case. And the green player has to discard 2 cards. You know what's interesting about this? I didn't realize the green player has a flight card, which he is going to use to defend against Deadly Strike. What happens with Deadly Strike then is that it has no effect. So both dragons stay on the field and play continues. Flight is put in the discard pile. Deadly Strike is put in the discard pile. And now both dragons are down 1 card. That was actually a really good play on his part. So he's going to begin by playing a combination of claw attacks here. 2 claw attacks against the gold Magi. The gold Magi only has 1 potential defense against a claw attack. He could play this and prevent 1 dragon from dying, but in this case he would probably play flight to prevent both of his dragons from dying. Which, let's rethink that. I think what the gold player would do is play claw to prevent 1 of his dragons from dying, and he'll hold on to flight just in case there's something worse in the other player's hand. Now it is the gold player's turn. He has 2 bites, which he knows a flight has been played, and there aren't very many flights in the deck, so he'll begin by playing both of his bites. And the green dragon, these symbols don't have to match on the an attack. So on a defense, excuse me. So in this case they do, but he's going to go ahead and play his 2 bites and prevent the attack from having any effect. Now the green dragon gets a turn, and he's a little suspicious of the other player. So he's going to begin by playing his magic card first. The only card that player has left is a flight, which he's going to use to... The gold player has left is flight, which he's going to use to prevent magic from dealing damage. The green player still has 2 cards remaining. 4 possible claws, which defeats all of the dragons that the gold player has. These cards are put back into the discard pile. And now... And this means that the green player has won the field, and he gets a yellow ruby, which he puts into his hand, and play continues on to the last battlefield. This battlefield is going to be a little more interesting, and by a little more I mean a little less. The only good thing that the green player has going is that the silver dragon gets 4 cards by himself, which he draws. Oops, excuse me, I'm drawing the wrong set of cards. He draws 4 cards from his attack deck, and he puts them here. The other player is able to draw 3 plus 2, 5 total cards, and then he can discard up to 3 of them and redraw. This player will draw 5 cards, and then he can discard up to 3. Has a lot of moon cards. That's nice. He also has a lot of claw cards. What he might do is discard 2 claw cards and try to get 2 of something else. Which he does. He got a bite or claw and a bite twice. I think that was a pretty good discard. That is it for the gold player. The green player gets to play first because it's his attack. He has a couple of moon cards that can go together, and he's going to play bite and claw at the same time, both moon cards. And he's going to see what the response is from the gold player. And the gold player, who can play different symbols when he's defending, plays a bite or claw and a claw to defend against that attack. The cards are discarded. It is now the gold player's turn. And he is going to play both of his star cards, Bite Twice and Magic, and see what happens here. The green player can defend against 1 bite and a claw, but he can't defend against a magic and a second bite. The battle dragon has to take 2 hits before he's defeated, but that means that there's no way for him to prevent 2 hits. So he is defeated and discarded. The gold player has won the day and takes this battlefield. He now has 2 gems of different colors. And we continue on to the second round. At the end of the round, any player that has dragon cards remaining in their hand may keep them. No player does because they all played their cards. Each player draws 1 new advanced battle card and adds it to their deck. 1, 2. Each player shuffles their battle deck, being sure to include discards and the new advanced battle card, and the players start a new round. So we'll draw new lands at this point, and I'll take care of that and we'll be right back. So the dragons have shuffled their cards. We're going to go ahead and put out 3 new lands. We'll start with this, that, and that. And we notice there are 2 green gems and 1 yellow. The gold magi needs 1 of any of those to win the game. The green magi cannot win unless he collects all 4 gems this turn, because he already has a yellow gem. So the green magi starts out at a disadvantage. Each player has drawn both of their cards, both of their sets of cards. The gold magi is going to start first. He's going to take one of the battlefields he's the most interested in and put a silver dragon there for protection. He doesn't really care which one, except both of these locations are a -1 shield to metallic dragons. Let's look at this location. Gold dragons can't use ranged attack, and we don't draw new cards with magic attacks. That's one of the points I missed in the last round, and I want to bring that up and remind everyone about it. Magic attacks allow both players to draw new battle cards equal to the number of cards they played on this turn. Something we need to remember. It is a variation in the rule compared to the basic bite and claw. We'll keep that in mind as we play this round. Let's begin by picking what the gold player is going to do, and he is going to pick the smart option. He wants to take this field, and he's going to use the silver dragon to try to lock it down. And that is his play. The silver dragon cannot be attacked with ranged attacks, remember. The green Magi has a different plan. He is going to try to use the undead dragon and play it early on. It has a good defense, and it allows him to draw a new battle card whenever a dragon is lost on either side. He's going to play this card here. And that provides a disincentive for the other player to attack dragons with ranged attacks. But the gold player isn't too concerned. He knows exactly what he wants to do, and he wants to take this battlefield. So he's going to play a purple dragon with stealth again, and play that under the silver dragon. That guarantees, unless the green player does something special, that he should get at least 6 battle cards in that location. The green player is not too hot about what's going on that particular side of the field. He wants to prevent so many battle cards, so he is going to play a black dragon here. And play will continue. The gold dragon is aware that he can possibly destroy the black dragon if he uses a long-range attack. What he's going to do is he's going to use his gold dragon to try to defeat this undead dragon over here and take it off the field. So the gold dragon has a 2 ranged attack, and against the undead dragon's 1 or 3 defense. He draws, and the gold dragon gets 3 hits, 3 potential hits. So the undead dragon's going to have to draw fairly well. No defense, 1 defense, and 2 defenses. The undead dragon survives the attack. The gold dragon was not as effective as he had hoped to be. And that brings us back to the green player's turn. The green player also has a gold dragon, and he might try the same attack that was just used against him, because he would like to take out that gold dragon. The gold dragon has 2 attack at the top. Yes, he'll play this, and he'll draw his 2 attack cards. 1, 2. 2 possible hits. Magic does not count in this particular case. The gold dragon gets to draw 3. 1, 2. He only had to draw 2. That means the gold dragon has defended, and play continues on. It's now the gold player's turn. Gold player has played a bronze dragon who does not have a ranged attack, and so can't attack this black dragon over on the green player's side of the board. The green player, meanwhile, is going to select a dragon that he thinks is the most useful. In this particular case, the lava dragon is quite useful. It only gets 1 attack, which is unfortunate. But if it can deal damage to all 3 of the other player's cards, it would be helpful. This dragon deals damage to all dragons on the battlefield, potentially, including the green player's cards. So let's give this player a chance to maybe win this battlefield. He's going to begin by attacking his own dragon. The green dragon draws 1 attack card, Ooh, it is 2 hits. That does not bode real well for the black dragon, but he draws 1 defense and 2 defenses. That was a successful defend. It turns out that the lava dragon only draws 1 attack card, so he got 2 possible hits with his attack card. The black dragon drew 2 defense cards and is not destroyed. The bronze dragon gets to draw 2 defense cards. He draws 1 for 1 defense and 2 for 2, so the bronze dragon is not defeated. The silver dragon can't be attacked by ranged attacks, so he avoids the attack completely. And the purple dragon draws and gets 2 defense as well. And that is it. The lava dragon did not succeed in destroying any of the dragons, even though he drew a really good card. Let's continue on to the gold player's turn. And the gold player wants to be sure to take at least one of these green locations. The gold dragon in this location gets -1 shield. So let's see if we can hit him. We'll use our red dragon, who gets 1 attack, and see what the consequences are. 1 possible hit. The gold dragon draws 2 cards. 1, 2. No defense. The gold dragon on the green player side is defeated. The red dragon has special wording that states he can attack a second dragon if he defeats the first dragon with a ranged attack. So he is going to try to defeat the undead dragon. 1 possible hit. The undead dragon can draw 3 cards. He draws 1 card and gets 1 defense. He knows his 3 best cards have been used, so he's going to go ahead and draw his other 2 defense cards to try to make it all the way through his deck. And that is it for the gold player's turn. It was a pretty successful one. We now move to the green player, who still has 4 cards left, but needs to try to defeat the dragons on this board. The red dragon seems to be a pretty important one, so he's going to begin by using his bloodhorn dragon to attack the red dragon. 2 potential attacks, 1 hit, no hits. The red dragon gets to draw 2 defense cards. He got 1 defense, which is enough, but he's going to draw his second just to continue to move through the deck. It's now back to the gold player's turn. He has 3 dragons remaining, and he still wants to take this position on the field. He's going to again use He's going to use his black dragon in this case to prevent the green player to make the green player discard one of his attack cards at this location. The green player sees that that dragon doesn't have a lot of defense, and he has 2 dragons still with ranged attack. He's going to use his celestial dragon to try to take out the black dragon. He gets 1 possible attack, 1 hit. The black dragon gets to draw 2 cards, no shields, and 2 shields. That was successful. The dragon is not defeated. We move on to the gold player's turn. The gold player has 2 cards left. He's going to play his bronze dragon here and not flip over the card because he wants the green dragon to not be able to win this turn. The green dragon, meanwhile, is going to play his bronze dragon and flip over this location. And that gives a blue gem, meaning that the green dragon now has a chance to win. Let's continue on. The gold player has 1 card left to play. It's this card. He only has 1 location he can play it. He will play it here. He will attack this player for the green player for 1 ranged attack, and he gets 2 claws, 2 possible damage. The bronze dragon draws 2 defense, 1 defense, no defenses. The bronze dragon is defeated. the blue dragon can choose to burrow, which means that he would be immune to ranged attack. And he's considering doing that. In fact, I think he is going to do that. So he turns sideways and he is now burrowed. The green player is going to play his green card here, who has a ranged attack but cannot get through because the blue dragon is burrowed. And that is the end of this phase of combat. So let's go ahead and move into the melee phase. The gold player gets to pick the battlefield he wants to resolve first. And he is definitely most interested in resolving this one. He gets 8 potential cards. No, excuse me, there are 2 here. The brass dragon is worth 4 attack when there's another metallic dragon. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 potential cards. He has to discard 1 due to the black dragon on the battlefield, but that's still pretty good. So he draws 10 cards, and discards 1. He's drawn his 10. The other player only gets 4 total cards. So he draws the 4 from, the green player draws 4 from his deck, and the gold player gets to go first. The gold player has to discard 1 card because of the situation. He's going to pick one that he has a lot of. He has a lot of bites and claws. He'll just discard 1 of the bites. Okay. The gold player is really interested in knocking this guy out. So he's going to play a large number of cards. He realizes there may be a flight, but he has this card called Claw Ambush, which allows him, when he attacks, the attacking player can randomly choose one of the defender's battle cards and immediately discard it. He's going to play these 3 cards, 2 claws and 1 bite. We're going to mix up the green player's cards, and we're going to draw 1 card out. It is a claw, which is discarded. Now there's a claw, a bite, and a claw. The green player has a flight, which he will play to prevent himself from dying. That is it for the gold player's attack phase. The green player has 2 cards left. They don't match. He's going to go ahead and play bite twice to see if he can sneak in a bite against the gold player. The gold player, however, has a flight card, which he is going to play, and that prevents him from taking damage. The green player's card is discarded. Finally, the gold player is going to try to knock him out this turn. The flight card's been used. He doesn't think there's another one. He is going to use a magic card this time, which would normally allow players to draw up a new number of battle cards, but they're on an area that says do not draw new cards with magic attacks. So he plays 1 magic attack, 1 bite, 1 claw, and 1 bite. All star-based cards. The green player has 1 card remaining. He can block 1 of the bites. The dragons still take 2 damage, which means both of his dragons are defeated and discarded. And the other 2 cards that remain in the gold player's hands are just discarded. The gold dragon is the victor for this battlefield, and that gives him 1 red, 1 blue, and 1 yellow gem, which is one of the victory conditions. Let's look it up in this handy book. In order to win, a player wins the game immediately after gaining one of the following: 3 gems of different colors. That's the rule we're interested in. He could also win with 3 gems of the same color or 4 gems of any color. So, the gold dragon has won. We do not continue on to determine who is the victor on the other battlefields. Thanks for watching. I think this is a very fun game. It plays really quickly when you get used to the rules. There's a lot of variety because the dragons all have different types of powers, and the lands affect the dragons' powers, making some dragons stronger in certain locations and not so strong in other locations. I like the artwork. I think the dragon artwork is quite nice. Note that these foil cards I actually purchased in a separate pack from the game. Shown here, this was a $5 add-on that allowed me to get some metallic cards to replace the original non-metallic dragons, which you can see in this pile. In some ways, the non-metallic are nicer because you can tell the colors a little better. However, it's fun to have shiny dragons. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you get to try this game out sometime. It's a really nice game. Know that additional cards are being made and additional expansions. I talked with Robert at MaceCon, and he was very interested in continuing to develop this game. I mentioned I wanted to talk about the variants that are present in Draco Magi, and let me just describe to you how they work. Basically, you get to select a number of the dragons that you saw in the playthrough and put them together into a deck. The variant itself says that each player must include all of their red, green, black, purple, silver, brass, bronze, and gold dragons. The players then build the rest of their dragon deck by choosing a set number of their remaining dragons. The number of additional dragons should be decided by the players, or tournament officials if you're playing. You might agree to add 4 additional dragon types. For instance, the gold player might choose to add battle, polar, undead, and rainbow dragons, while the green player might add blue, lava, clockwork, and bloodhorn dragons. You must add the same number of additional types, and the specific dragons chosen can be different or the same. So that gives you a little bit of replayability and variability in the game, because only certain dragon types would be in the deck that you're playing with. Generally, I think this is a pretty fun game. I would recommend it to anyone who has a single other person to play with, and who enjoys direct competitive games. I also think the components are fairly high quality. I do note that some of the cards I received were scratched, particularly the foil cards. One thing I was disappointed in were the additional bonus pack that I purchased. My gold dragon had a large scratch along one of my gold dragons had a large scratch along the front of it. And I immediately sleeved my cards after purchasing. So it didn't make a lot of sense to me that there would be a large scratch on the dragon immediately after I purchased it. Here's an example, if you can see this. It's right in between the words that say dragon spell, if you see that line or scratch. So that is that can be a problem with purchasing something by someone who has independently developed it. Sometimes the quality isn't as high as it would be if you had purchased it from potentially a retailer. But I would still highly recommend this game to anyone who enjoys combat games and especially dragon games with good art. Thanks for watching.